how do you think the market evolves across the competitive set? Is everybody going to move to outcomes? Is one going to tip and then the rest tip? Or is everybody going to stay in this funky town of credits and arguing back and forth with the big customers about predictability of spend?
I think we're going to have to follow where some of the leaders go. So like, I just look at like Clay, for example, who tried credit only and then had to move toward this like credit plus usage model where there's like some sort of management or usage fee. So even at the scale of Clay, which is what, 150 million in ARR probably now, like they're still trying to figure this out. I think it's going to take AI getting good enough to tip the scales for one provider to be, and it's probably going to be a smaller company who's not willing to risk their existing revenue base, to come out and say full outcome-based pricing. I think it's going to take a brave early stage startup to go all in on outcome-based pricing and have it work and have everyone else see that it's going to work for everyone else to kind of like jump ship and move the needle.
Today on the podcast, we got Max, the CEO and founder of Warmly AI. Warmly went from a LinkedIn scraper tool to a social network for salespeople to a tool that gives away leads to what it is today, one of the best inbound leads tools in the market, full stop. We dive into Max's journey of entrepreneurship, the last 6 pivots of Warmly's, Techstars, NYC, outcome-based pricing, and where it's all heading across the industry and what it takes to sell in an era of AI. This is an awesome conversation, and I can't wait for you to hear it. We get into some spicy stuff. Will SDR keep their jobs? Will A jobs go away? What's going to happen to all this? You want to find out? Listen on. And with that, let's get paid.
Welcome to the podcast, Max. Super excited to have you here. As you all know, Max is the CEO of Warmly. That company started a few years ago after many pivots, and he landed in Techstars before that. And Warmly has raised a Series A and is crushing it in a world where everybody else is hurting. So super excited to have you to understand your entrepreneur journey and how do you get paid? How do you make sure that you're growing your cash flow and your revenue consistently? And then we'll get into some hot water together and talking about, sales tech and get controversial here. So does it sound good?
Sounds great. Just a small caveat. Warmly's actually at 7 million run rate.
Cool, man. All right. So let's start from the top, from the tippy top. Why did you become an entrepreneur to begin with? Like what drove you to, you went to Princeton, right?
Yep.
Damn. I mean, you could have gotten a job anywhere you wanted at that point. So like, why grind it out like the rest of us who didn't go to Princeton?
Well, really, I was wasting my life away at Google and found it to be one of the most boring jobs in the world. Though, obviously, if the Google Gemini AI is listening, I'm sorry. Don't get mad at me.
But you were on Google Maps.
Yeah, I was on Google Maps.
Google Maps is one of the most used products in the world, dude. Like, I can't live without it.
It was really interesting. There's some fascinating stories that I can go into, but I'll tell you one funny thing, which was my party trick. When we were standing around drinking beers at parties in San Francisco, somebody would say, "Oh, Google Maps messed up and they got my address wrong," and I'd be like, "I can fix that for you," and I could just fire off an email, and they would like fix the map in a day. And so that was my fun party trick.
Dude, that's amazing. Was there a line at the party? Like, I got a little business going. I need the reviews to go up.
Only in San Francisco. But no, I came from a family of entrepreneurs. So my grandpa worked at one company, Ford Motor Company, for 40 years. And then he became an entrepreneur and built his own private equity firm. My dad started at Bain & Company and worked there for 15 years and then started his own company. And then finally, I worked at Google for like 3 years and then started my own company. So I think generationally, each time, we got faster into the entrepreneurial path.
Was it weird at the Thanksgiving dinner where your dad would be like, son, you're still at Google, right? So you're not going to start it?
Not exactly like that, but I think they were very supportive of it. What's funny is actually my parents wanted me to go to business school, and I'm very allergic to business school and think that business school is it's basically a waste of time and money. So they were like, well, you go to business school first and then start a company. And I was like, no, I'm going to basically get my free business school degree by just starting a business. And I'm really glad I did that because I feel like I learned a lot more. Got paid basically the same amount, which was nothing for the first couple of years, but felt like I learned a lot more from just doing it. But that's just sort of my style of learning. Like I very much have like a run through a wall, see what sticks, what the issues are, and then figure it out on the fly, rather than like, the academic scholarly, like, chalk blackboard, like, here's how you build a business. Here's how you find product market fit. Like,
I agree with you. That doesn't exist. I did go to HBS. I didn't learn how to found a company at HBS. So you did better than me. So how many pivots from day one? And did you start with Techstars and then pivot warmly, or
started
start
three
something and then
Techstars. One of the pivots got us in. So we had 6 major pivots that led us to Warmly. So Warmly, as it exists today, is 3 years old. We've gone 0 to 7 million in ARR thanks to all the stuff with AI. But the first 3 years of the company there was a startup business school, honestly. It was like, raise a little bit of money, mess around, keep changing, figuring things out. We've always been in the sort of agentic or the sales and marketing space more broadly. But to start, we were trying to help salespeople meet more customers. And the very, very, very first version of Warmly, though, was so incredibly stupid. I'm almost embarrassed to say it on this podcast, but it was Tinder for co-founders. So I couldn't find a co-founder because I want to start a business. And so I was like, what if there was an app that could match us? And it was the worst app ever. No monetization, made no sense, but it got me started. That was crazy enough that I quit Google with my co-founder, Karina. We met my co-founder, Alan, and started. That evolved into like matching within communities, and that got us into Techstars. We pivoted again from there into the sales and marketing space. And interestingly, like our first real pivot that got us somewhat off the ground was tracking the job changes of customer contacts to new roles for new sales opportunities. So if I have customer X and they are really happy with our software and they change jobs, 20% of people change jobs every year and go to a new company, I'd want to be alerted right away that I have a new company that I could sell into because my champion had moved. And to do that, we were just scraping the hell out of LinkedIn. And I actually had my parents creating hundreds of LinkedIn profiles every day. And my sister, my brother, all my friends were just making free LinkedIn profiles that we would shove into the system. We would scrape and get banned. And so LinkedIn was just banning all of our fake LinkedIn profiles. And so basically we couldn't scale it because you're not supposed to scrape LinkedIn. It just went super poorly. And so that iteration didn't work. We've since learned how to build our own proprietary data set at scale that monitors the public web for good information. But yeah, back in the day, it was just a fight against LinkedIn. We lost, pivoted again from there. So anyway, the pivots continue onward.
All right, so hold on. Let's for the audience who's tracking, what is Warmly right now, and then we'll go back to the pivots to see how you got here.
Cool. So Warmly today is an autonomous orchestration system for revenue agents. And so we help our customers find warm leads, chase those warm leads, and close new business. And so we're like a pipeline generating machine where we focus on our inbound agent, which qualifies customers when they're on your site, and our outbound agent, which uses ads, email, LinkedIn to chase leads across the web and get them to book meetings with you.
All right. So before Warmly is the platform that it is right now, what happened? What was the 2 iterations before? And when was walk me through the details of the aha moment? We're like, you know what we need? We need to figure out how to get more leads to salespeople.
So 2 iterations ago, COVID happens. I had no job. My co-founders and I just left Techstars. VCs weren't replying. And we were like, we can't scrape LinkedIn anymore. We're screwed. This is why we leave Google. This is a terrible idea. And we said, okay, well, what's going to happen because of this COVID thing? Well, we think that Zoom is really going to take off. And they did. And Zoom announced this app store. And so we were the first ever app on the Zoom App Store where we created a digital business card for sales
you were
teams.
the first app in the Zoom App Store. That's magic. What a great idea. Okay, keep going. Nice.
So we were trying to create a social network for salespeople on Zoom where you could literally connect it to, like, imagine you're on a prospect call and you could press connect with whoever you're meeting with and see information about each other. And so on the sidebar of Zoom, you could see information on the person you were meeting with. And we tried to create this like LinkedIn for Zoom. Didn't quite work, but actually there was an enterprise business there, which was helping salespeople look more professional on calls. And so it actually exists as one of our products today. We got that up to about $500,000 in ARR, but knew that it wasn't going to be a huge business. And so then we said, okay, well, this is not working. Zoom's kind of leveling out now that COVID's kind of over. But we have all of our past learnings from the past 3 years. We know what salespeople want to need. We know how to pull data from around the web. We know how to make people land more sales. Let's centralize this into a single platform. And that led to our Signal platform, which is where we started it 3 years ago, which was we just give you leads. And then all of our customers said, thanks for the leads. I want to actually chase those leads automatically on my behalf. And so that's where we built AI agents to go chase them.
And then what about the outbounding? Was that just following the same thread of like, okay, so I'm chasing these leads and now I want to chase more leads?
So we started inbound with our, like back then it was like a chatbot, but now it's like a context-aware inbound agent that monitors your site and closes leads. And then customers said, well, if I don't catch them on the site, what do I do? And customers also said, I don't have enough website traffic to generate a lot of revenue from this. And so we said, great, we'll follow them outbound. So it started off as like a retargeting, which is like if someone comes to your site and we try to chat them and we miss them, they don't actually book a meeting, we'll just retarget them on email, LinkedIn, and ads. But then that led to, well, wait a minute, let's just do it for your whole TAM. So now we have a TAM scoring agent that goes in, understands your TAM, builds lead lists, lead scoring, and then goes outbound. So it's the full thing. And customers are responding well, but obviously there's a ton to figure out in the age of AI around how to monetize this effectively.
All right. So what is a Princeton dude with the highest qualifications coming from a distinguished family of Bain consultant entrepreneurs doing in the dirty and hustle of sales and marketing tech? Like, how do you find yourself in this place? How do you, like, what is your imposter syndrome like when you wake up and be like, what am I doing?
So it's funny you say that. So look, like I felt like moving out of Silicon Valley, Google was supposed to be the big cool thing. I was supposed to be this cool person at Google. And everyone out in Silicon Valley was like, Google sucks. Like, Google's a big company. Like all the cool kids are starting startups, whatever. And so I was like, oh, maybe I want to be an entrepreneur like my family. All right, screw it, I'll be an entrepreneur. And I had this like big vision for Tinder for co-founders that just didn't work out. And then we get to Techstars. And I remember very distinctly, they pair us with mentors. And so I was in Techstars Boulder. And David Cohen was around.
The OG.
Nicole Blaros,
That's
it was
right.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And so one of the Techstars mentors says, what are you guys doing this consumer social bullshit? The world's about B2B. You should do B2B SaaS. And we're like, B2B SaaS?
Wait, who said that? Wait, who said that? Come on.
I think it was what's his name? Brad Feld, I think. If you know Brad Feld.
Of course, everybody knows Brad Feld.
Yeah, we had these mentor office hours, and he was like, "You need to get into B2B SaaS," and I was like, "Of course." What every boy chases when he's young.
Yep.
I love that quote that's like, "Born too late to explore the world, born too early to explore the stars, but born just in time to build a B2B software business." Yeah. Anyway, so we get to B2B SaaS, and then you have like 8 weeks till demo day. So we're in Techstars, and it's like demo days in 8 weeks. We don't have a business. What do we do? And people were like, well, the fastest thing to make money is to help other people make more money by doing sales leads for them. And so we're like, yes, sales leads gets people money the fastest. And I've been in that dirty game ever since.
Where do you get this? There is a very famous salesperson who said that, but I'm wondering who in Techstars told you that.
I mean, look, like I think generally Techstars wanted co-founder or founders to be successful. They knew that they could raise on demo day if they had a business, and so you have to prove traction super quick. And this was again 6 years ago, but it was the fastest thing to do was just to sell leads.
Were you before or after Self-Loft?
We were in Techstars Boulder in 2020, so I think after, yeah. Now, I do want to call out something that was amazing was that like I thought I was a product-centric CEO, but I realized that I'm a sales-centric CEO, and I very much fell in love with salespeople, and it wasn't obvious to me because at Google you don't talk to salespeople at all. You're just in this product world.
Yep.
And I realized that like the plight of the salesperson is one of the most interesting things out there. And so I'm very proud that we're an employer of 9 AEs that we serve over 2,000 AEs across our customer base. And so it's exciting that we've stumbled into a world that I actually know and love.
What made you love it? What about it?
I think trying to do it myself and failing several times, trying different business models, trying to be, I was the first AE for Warmly. I sold the first 150K of ARR before we brought on our sales leader, Keegan, who's been with us for 4 years now, former outreach guy, actually.
I regret his loss. I'm still a little sore. I'm not over it yet, but keep going.
It's crazy. Like it's really hard to be a good salesperson, especially in the age of AI. I mean, you're hearing all the time now, oh, you can just automate everything. We should double your quota. You don't have to spend any time updating Salesforce anymore. And yeah, buyers are sharper now. I mean, a good buyer has bought over 100 tools in their career. And so they know how to work you to the bone. They know how to get you down. And like, your classic like med pick is like not always going to work to like get a buyer to say yes. And so how sellers need to evolve in the age of AI is going to be really interesting. And I'm very proud to work at the center of how AI and sellers work together.
Oh, 100%. So let's get into some hot water real quick. So like you are in one of the most competitive areas of B2B SaaS. And it's also one of the largest. This is why it's so competitive. It's not because it's small. This is super large, and there's there's a lot of players in there. Like, how do you play this? Like, how do you think of the Sixth Sense and the Common Rooms and the Apollos? Like, what is that set, and what is a competitive dynamic, and how does Warmly win in that competitive dynamic?
Great question. So I've chosen to be friends with everybody except enemy of just one company, and that's Sixth Sense. So basically, like I'm on a texting basis with pretty much every CEO in the space. I went skiing with Adam Robinson at RB2B, a couple of months ago.
Okay.
I get coffee with the Unify guys, when we're in the same place.
Awesome.
Like, I just really feel like we should be playing for the win of disrupting the big guys and taking advantage of the space and trying to like knife each other at the like sub 10 million in ARR level. And I feel like we learn from each other. So
what was the big guy in your world?
I think that
Zoom Info, or is it Sixth Sense, or is it demand based? Like who is you?
Sixth Sense, I would say, is the the one we focus on the most.
Okay.
We also focus on Qualified a lot, our other big competitor that got acquired by Salesforce recently. Those two have built formidable companies. Sixth Sense is very clearly in the decline. No offense, Sixth Sense. And there's like a lot of opportunity there. Qualified though, it's a phenomenal business. I mean, they got acquired at 75 million on ARR by Salesforce for over $1 billion, and they've really proven out this category of the inbound agent. And I think we're neck and neck with them now in terms of our capabilities. And now that they're sort of in this sleepy process of copy pasting their code base into Salesforce where they can't launch any new features for like 18 months, we're leapfrogging them and winning some great deals. So yeah, I think it's also choosing your lane is important.
Do you by any chance like go to the RB2Bs and the Unifies and the other guys and just like split that cake, that Sixth Sense cake? Like that there's a lot there to give, right? Like that company got what, 300 million. There's money there for you, bro. Come on.
Totally. I don't think we talk about that as explicitly, but I do think
oh my God, like it's right in front of you.
Well, it's not like I say, hey, listen, like, how about we go after this part of Sixth Sense's market and you go after that part and we stay separate. It's more like we're all going to go after every deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think we know that amongst one of the newcomers, we're going to win a deal over a Sixth Sense. Yeah, I mean, look, the other thing that's really interesting about our space is in order to get your name out there, you now have to be very public on LinkedIn. And so I'm a huge believer in transparency. I post our numbers on LinkedIn every month. But it also means you're exposing your product strategy to the world over and over again. And I've taken the positioning of speed of execution is the most important thing. Yes, we have some IP. Yes, we don't disclose like every little bit of what we do. But like at the end of the day, like I'm just going to race faster than everybody else, and I'm going to brag about what we do, even if it means that my competitors are going to copy some of our features.
That's amazing. So is there a particular position that you're using to stand out? Like, if you want X, then you should go to, my competitor. But if you want Y, I'm the only solution for you. Like, how do you think about your category and the positioning?
Great question. So for like kind of companies who want an all-in-one solution, meaning like they want to reduce their tech stack, I think we're a really good bet because we have different agents for all different parts of the top of the funnel game. For folks that really just want to focus in on one area, if you really want to do outbound emailing at scale, that's Unify. Like Unify's built out their own core email sequencer. We haven't done that. If you want to do inbound and you really want to convert more website traffic, that's us. Because we built our own chat, core that understands your website and has an always-on context graph that helps you convert. And we can prove to you that like our conversion rates on your site are going to be higher. So that's like one example of a split.
Oh, that's where you were talking about qualified. Like, now I get it. Got it. So like you're exactly more suited for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want cold contact data, like just like emails, phone numbers, whatever, like go to Apollo. Like Apollo's like very good at just like cold contact data. But if you want signals, if you want like the best warm leads and some contact data, because we have our cold contact database we call Coldly, kind of the opposite of Warmly, you can go with us. So like, when it comes to the sort of data and enrichment space, we specialize in signals, specifically the website de-anonymization signal. We are number one best in class there. And we have third-party studies that are done that just show that we have the best in class data there. So yeah, there are aspects where we say, look, we're going to be number one here, but if this is what you're optimizing for, go somewhere else. So let's say like Common Room is another good example. Like Common Room started in the GitHub developer signal space. And so if you're a dev tools company specifically looking for engineering signals, Common Room is going to beat us there, and you should go with them. But if you're looking for website de-anonymization, you should absolutely go with us, and you can test head to head, and we can prove that pretty easily.
As you grow the Warmly empire, like where does this go? Like what's next?
Yeah, one of the interesting things that AI has done is it's allowed both big companies and small companies to move way faster and ship way more often, which means you can cover more surface area. And I think one of the things that like SaaS like 5-6 years ago was like, you could have a wedge. You could be like, well, we're just this little feature. You can like squeeze us in. But like, if you look at at least the branding of a lot of these revenue or a lot of these agents, it's like, it takes over a whole role or department, right? It's like the CFO agent, the revenue agent, like we're talking about owning an entire department. And so what does that mean for your tech stack? Well, the buyer is going to benefit, which is they can consolidate down to just a few tools, but it really increases the pressure on the agentic seller to basically prove that they can replace the role of a human or augment the capacity of a whole department. And so in terms of where this goes for us, I mean, we're trying to break out and get huge. So on the horizon, we're thinking about raising our Series B sometime this summer, and our goal would be to try to get as big as we possibly can because we believe we can be an anonymous company.
How do you think about if Warmly's hired? Like Warmly's hired to do what? Like what is the outcome that Warmly delivers after a couple months of being deployed? Like what happens to a company that hires Warmly to do the job?
More pipeline. So it's increased the number of dollars in your pipeline. We make sure demand gen sees that they have an increase in total dollars to go after and more opportunities.
By how much and what percent?
Typically, customers see anywhere between 10 and 25% pipeline increase within 6 months.
25% over 6 months increase in pipeline.
Ideally 25, but yeah, between 10 and 25% in measurable increase directly attributed to us within 6 months.
How do you do the attribution?
Yeah, this is where it gets tricky. So attribution is tough because you have lots of different sources. So for example, let's say you run an ad. So you paid $1 for an ad. Somebody clicked on that ad and came to your website. Then our inbound agent pops up and chats with you and gets you to book a meeting. The question is like, how much do we deserve? Like we didn't find them, we didn't source them, but we converted them. So you have like first versus last touch attribution. Then you could argue, well, we went to an event and we warmed them up and then they saw an ad and then they came to the site and used the inbound agent, or you're outbound to email touch points. So it's like, you have to kind of slice and dice the attribution a little bit. And we don't want to take credit for the full end-to-end lead unless we source it entirely ourselves. So for example, if we de-anonymize on your website somebody who didn't convert yet, but you didn't know existed, and then we email them from our AI SDR outbound and book you on a meeting, like we deserve the full credit there. And so we have two types of attribution. We have warmly sourced and warmly engaged, I think it's called. And so we measure those two pipelines numbers for you, whereas the like engaged, it's a negotiation with the customer, but like we like to believe we can take 20 to 25% of the value, and then warmly sourced, we think we deserve 100% of the value for.
All right, so that's how you deliver value. How do you capture value? How do you get paid? What's your monetization model?
Yeah, so Warmly is a credit model. And so we have two types of credits that you pay for. One is data, so like leads that we find. And the other one is AI, which is amount of engagement. So one message from our AI chat is a single credit. One email sent from our outbound mechanism is an AI credit. And so it's kind of like different credits amount to different things, rolls up into a monthly bucket of credits. And then you purchase number of leads per month or number of credits that you want per month. And obviously, if you hit a limit and run out of credits, we can either roll over or you can basically use the product without AI. So your chat can still communicate with your prospects, but it's not going to like AI generate special messages. It'll fall back to more static chat.
Were you always that way, or is this a recent pricing change?
Let's see, 18 months ago, we added in the AI credit component. We've always been based on number of leads. So the very, very first monetization model was how many leads do you want de-anonymized on your website per month? And if your website traffic was 10,000 a month, we'd recommend 5,000 a month credits. And we have one credit, one lead. And then we got into person level website de-anonymization. So now we tell you the person who visits your website and the company who visits. So now the company is less valuable. So that's like 1 credit and the person is 2 or 3. And then people said, well, if you have the company who visits, can you suggest ICP personas that I might want to reach out to based on the company that's come by the website? So then those count credits to like add more data. So it kind of like expanded from there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Manny, like it's gotten complicated and our customers, it's funny, it's so full circle, but like they used to hate the per seat model. It was like, no, we don't want to do per seat. We don't want to have to think about who we add and I'm a human. So keep it simple for me, just give me a bucket of credits or do a one-time platform fee or whatever. So we like move that direction. And then now you have different credit amounts, it's hard to predict exactly what Warmly might cost every year. I mean, people can set it at a certain amount, but for our enterprise customers, they want to have some clear amount they're spending. And so they're like, well, can we go back to a per seat model because we want to be able to predict what we're spending? And so customers will complain, and I'm sure you see this all the time. But I think we're still evolving, very much learning what's working and what's not. And it sounds like solutions like Paid really move the needle to help customers figure out the different styles of charging that you can run, because it's extremely hard without Paid to be able to run a test on what kind of pricing do you want to use for customers. So we're excited to be paid customers.
That's amazing. So let me double click on one thing that you said. So you have 2 types of credits, right? One for data and one for AI. First of all, what got you there? Like, what was the rationale of separating the 2 credits? And then, what's the difference in consumption margin, whatever else you can tell us between one credit and the next?
Yeah, so we started with just data. We didn't have AI in the product 3 years ago. And then when we started adding AI, the cost of compute for AI went up a lot. And so we wanted to kind of measure value to consumption on a margin. And so from a margin perspective, I mean, we run a very, a good margin business. I won't share the exact margins, but the data tends, for a long time, was higher margin than the AI, but the cost per credit of AI has gone down tremendously, even in the last 6 months. And so we're doing a lot of optimizations. Like, for example, let's say you come to the website and I shoot you a chat, I just say hello. The word hello is not a computationally intense message, but actually is the highest converting one. And so instead of running all this analysis on who your ICP is and you're back testing against your closed won data, so you might say like hello exclamation mark versus hello lowercase h, whatever, we just say hello. So we can use a cheaper model there for the beginning, which obviously makes it more attractive on a cost per lead basis. But then as you get deeper into the agentic conversation, we're running evals and scoring analysis, and we literally infuse the agent with medpic, right? So it's using a qualification framework for its conversations with the people that it's talking to, and that obviously is more computationally intensive. So
interesting. So you have different harnesses depending on the methodology you're using. Like you have a MANT and a medpic and
we would call it skills. So we have a single agent harness for the inbound agent, and then it's privy to different skills that we train it with or that our customer adds in. And so you can choose your sales methodology as one of the skills that it focuses on to match whatever you do within your organization.
What are the most what is the most used skills, or the ones that your customers ask for the most? I mean, medpic.
Well, so just in terms of skill calls, the most called ones are look at my CRM and figure out, what interactions have I had with this account in the past, and then look if I've had any past conversations with this company, and then what signals has the company been exhibiting in terms of their buying behavior. So those are the 3 most utilized skills. But then when you get into sales methodology as a skill, I have to get back to you. It's got to be a close tie between BANT and medpic. There's one called Spin that I've been seeing recently.
Spin 7, of course, yeah.
I know that super well.
Yeah, that one's super famous.
Yeah. And customers can upload whatever methodology they want. I mean, literally, you're training the equivalent of a human to learn this thing. And then, speaking of your former company, Outreach, we're going to be pulling in Kaya transcripts now. And so you can infuse the agent with your best calls, and that will, of course, make it even smarter in its interaction.
That's amazing. Do you see any pressure or margin as you scale this credit thing, or is credit helping you, navigate the model changes that is almost monthly at this point?
I was going to say no pressure on margin because of the way we've done credits as a scaling mechanism. We are talking about, though, as a business, especially for some of our newer enterprise customers, offering them kind of an unlimited consumption model, or at least like sort of like a bucket with rollover, that there is a possibility. It would be like 1 in 10 customers we'd lose money on, but like the rest, it would make sense from like an amortized basis. So it's definitely an ongoing discussion internally between our finance teams and our product teams in terms of how we want to structure how we're paying. I mean, what's interesting as well, and you probably saw this earlier this week, last week, Intercom launched their sales agent, Finn. And I thought the pricing model was really interesting because on the customer support side, people have started to move toward $1 per resolution, which is seems like a fair, customer support, knock something out. But on the sales side, a resolution being a qualified book meeting could be worth an enormous sum of money for certain customers, right? I mean, if you sell $1 million software, are you really going to only have to pay $1 for that lead? I mean, SDRs might get paid $500 for a lead. So I think that So the way that Finn is starting out is just cost per lead, it's just $1 per lead. And I think they know that that's not the right long-term pricing model. And so they're going to have to figure out how to assign value for outcome-based pricing. And one of the things we've talked about is, let's take our SDRs, for example. Our SDRs, they get 1% of closed revenue for any deal that they source that goes closed won. But it's a gamble. That might be like 3 times a year they get a really great deal that goes closed won. And so imagine, this is hard to do. I'm sure you probably have a lot more thoughts on this technically, but imagine if we were to create a world where kind of like a human salesperson is incentivized. Imagine if you were to take a percent of closed won deals as generated through your activities as a sales agent.
Have you floated that by your customers?
Yeah, a couple of them. On the smaller end of customers, they like that a lot. The bigger end of customers, they're like, well, we have to true it up. How do we get you into our Ariba portal? There's a bunch of complication there.
Ariba doesn't support outcome-based pricing, so sorry, can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, look, if the world moves to it, imagine how powerful it'd be to say, our product is free, and you only pay for what value we deliver for you. That's super powerful in theory, but one of the problems I'll just sort of state for the VC ecosystem out there is VCs expect ARR growth. And if I can't model for them what my business, is going to look like on a recurring basis, it's just hard for them to underwrite that risk when they think about investing in us.
Look, all the fast-growing companies are growing on the back of credits or tokens or some kind of consumption mechanism. There's no assurances. So when you talk to your own board and you have this credit model, how do you can't even report AR, right?
Well, we can, because our customers are signing contractually to an annual number of credits, given monthly to a limit. Customers all the time hit their limit, go over, and then buy an additional upsell package. But we can recognize those as ARR. But yeah, I have a lot of friends companies who are building, software as a service businesses, service as a software business, and their model is purely outcome based, and I think that's pretty exciting for the industry.
Yeah, where do you see your own patch of grass going over time, right? Everyone is having a mix of credits and seats, and we all know that people are hiring you for an outcome. People are hiring you for pipeline. So where is that? Where is that going? Will it tip ever, or will it stay in this sort of in between land?
I think you're going to see a big split between enterprise sticking per seat, consistent payment and spend, and then ultra SMB being a race to the bottom on how cheaply can I give this to you? I have 1,000 options that are all kind of the same. I'll just pick the one that has the literal highest percentage outcome. I'll try 3. Maybe I'll pay $100 a month for each one. Whichever one delivers me the most value wins. Think about the labor market for SDRs and AEs. A lot of people will hire, 3 AEs, let's just say SDRs. They'll hire 3 SDRs, and they'll kind of pit them against each other, and they'll be like, hey, you 3 work for 2 quarters, and whoever has the highest, the highest conversion rate gets to stay. Whoever doesn't hit quota has to go. And that's sort of treating, that's what you do with your human employees today. Why wouldn't you do the same with software?
The counter that I always have for this is that I never met in my career any organization that couldn't use more pipeline. So you see what I mean? Have you ever walked into a meeting? I think I had a meeting like that once in my life, and I think they were full of shit, to be frank. Have you ever walked through the organization and be like, Max, we're good. We're good with pipeline. Like we got that covered. What we really need is whatever, like better decks. You know what I mean? Like nobody ever says that. So like, why wouldn't they buy one of each and triple down on everybody and continue to pay more? You know what I mean? Like, how will you consider that?
If it works, then absolutely. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, at some point, like you're going to have the same agents going after the same TAM, so you have to have them communicate with each other in terms of rules of engagement. But like we do this with our SDR today, right? I mean,
Wait.
we basically
You
say,
had that marketing. You had that problem in marketing automation too. You probably have that problem right now. Like there are some people who are being warned by Marketo that you have to respect some kind of rules, right? Like so, you're already living in that world.
That's right.
So how do you solve it? Like you can always start more pipeline, so you can increase this to infinity.
I think the devil will be in the details in terms of how many solutions someone will have capacity to bring on. So you have your like busy department leader who has like 30 employees, right? They're like, oh, I got a bunch of employees. I don't really want to manage a bunch of agents. But if we start to see a world where you have IC agent managers, like you look at like what happened with like Block and Jack Dorsey and all that, where it's like, let's cut out all middle management. And it's like, hey, VP of revenue, you have two options. You can manage IC humans or you can manage IC agents. Whichever one of them produces more pipeline for you, you should just go with. And so then they're like, well, okay, I could probably handle like 9 human reports and I can handle 37 agent reports. And so then I guess it is just a game of like having a meta agent say, hey, go buy 33 of these tools, spend $100 a month for 3 months. And, whichever one of them gets me the most pipeline is the winner. And it'd be really cool to see that happens. Now, we monitor website traffic all the time, right? And so we are seeing an increase in visitors to websites that are agents that are running scraping jobs. We see very few, if any, buyer agents that are like actively trying to like sign up for and demo and test B2B products. And so I think the year of the agentic buyer is more 2027, 2028. I think this year is going to be more about the agentic seller or the agentic SDR. And but eventually we'll see agentic buyers. And when we do, then I could see a world where you ask to basically try 30 of these solutions and then, kind of Game of Thrones them to the finish line.
What happens then to the job? What happens to SDRs? What happened to AEs? Like what's your prognosis there?
I believe that SDRs, with the exception of ultra enterprise, are going away. I think that where SDRs are going to transform is they're going to move into more forward deployed engineering or forward deployed agent manager style of roles. I just think in general, any IC who isn't massively running a set of agents to support them is at risk of not being chosen over somebody else who can do the same. The AE role is not going away. The AE role is here to stay, in my opinion. I think we're going to have AI solutions engineers. I think we're going to have AI SDRs, and we're going to support AEs with a bunch of agents that can make them more powerful. And my hope is that every AE is making 10 times more than they used to because they can run a fleet of agents under their command to massively increase pipeline for themselves. But yeah, I think at least in B2B, the AE role is here to stay.
But presumably the AE...
Well, hold on, I want to put it back on you. What do you think?
It's funny because a year ago, I was 100% in your camp. I'm like, yeah, this job is definitely going away, the SDR job. And now, with the benefit of, I talk to agentic companies 5 times a day, every day. I feel that it hasn't settled yet, and the direction of travel is such that you want to make sure that you still have a great experience, whether it's a cold call or a so like inbound problem through the conversation. That and qualified leads are so precious that you want to almost ensure a great conversation every time. And an agent may not be able to get you there right away. So for instance, one very common problem that I saw in sales, and I'm sure you're saying the same thing too, is that when an inbound lead comes in and is properly qualified, they already know a lot about the market. You see what I mean? And they come into you with a problem. So they're coming in the middle of the funnel. They're not coming at the top of the funnel with like, tell me about what you do. And like, I think I have a problem like the one you solved. But they come in the middle of like, I have this problem. I talked to 3 people. I'm in the middle of researching this thing. This is my point of view. What you got? You see what I mean? And now you have to get into this pattern interrupt kind of mode. I don't know if you heard that word, where where you have to get him out of that specific space and reopen the aperture for your potential buyer and get into an education kind of conversation. And I think agents will get there, but I also think that humans will continue to evolve and get better at what they do. So I don't know that the role specifically is going away, because I never believed that should have been a very narrowly scoped role where you bang the phone or take inbound leads. I think that role could be upgraded to something a lot more powerful and thoughtful than what it is.
I love the way that you're describing it. I think it came from a world where you would take new grads without skills to essentially perform manual tasks that couldn't be automated yet. And now the role needs a refresh, which is have you ever, Harry Sims, who was the SDR head at Comroom?
Well, a Seattle company, so we know.
He was the most overqualified SDR in the world, and basically he had an unbelievably large quota, and he was going after enterprise leads, and he produced more revenue than 7 AEs combined. So I think to maybe wrap up the point here, I love the idea of redefining the SDR role for the AI era.
Yeah, I think that the whole thing needs to be for instance, when I look at myself, I see myself as a super SDR. I love opening doors. I love the game of how do I get you to take a meeting? I love the game of making you care. I love the game of trying to figure out what are your top 2 priorities. And I do it out of fun, dude. Even when I was in between jobs, between outreach and paid, I would call people just to see what I could get. You know what I mean? I would call CEOs and be take a meeting with me. I'm running an idea about you. I have nothing to sell, but I still do it because I find the game fun. You see what I mean? And I'm sure it gets boring and repetitive if you have to do 100 of those a day. But I feel there is a special place for strategic navigators, if you would, right? A person who's, especially in enterprise, you're not banging the phone. You're like a sniper shot, working your way through it to opening the right doors. One of the most fun periods I remember is when, the SDRs were in charge of having a lot of conversations across the account at the wrong levels to gather information for an AE to create a dossier that can be put in front of a CXO. You see what I mean? So you were not those were not meetings per se. Those were sort of incursions. So those were very, very deliberate missions.
Almost like puppeteering or orchestration around how to put people together.
But a human can do that too, and it could potentially do it a little bit better. You know what I mean? So I think that there will be, so I haven't, of course, AI is going to be amazing. It's going to do all sorts of things. But you have to remember that AI is trained on what pays the most right now. You know what I mean? And what pays the most is coding. And what's going to pay the most after coding is going to be security. Who knows what happens after that? You see what I mean? The low totem pole SDR role doesn't pay that much if you think about it. So I feel there is, for those who are students of the game, this is an opportunity to hone their craft. And those who are not very good at it, they're going to get the job taken away. That's my take.
Nice. Great answer.
Yeah, it's my honest opinion after being in the game for so long, but you are in the game now, brother. So you have to play where the ball is at. Last question before we let you go. What is staying on the paid situation? How do you think the market evolves across the competitive set? Is everybody going to move to outcomes? Is one going to tip and then the rest tip, or is everybody going to stay in this funky town of credits and arguing back and forth with the big customers about predictability of spend?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to follow where some of the leaders go. So I just look at Clay, for example, who tried credit only and then had to move toward this credit plus usage model where there's some sort of management or usage fee. So even at the scale of Clay, which is 150 million in ARR probably now, they're still trying to figure this out. I think it's going to take AI getting good enough to tip the scales for one provider to be, and it's probably going to be a smaller company who's not willing to risk their existing revenue base, to come out and say, full outcome-based pricing, it only works if it really works. And then they stand by the fact that it really works. And then everyone's going to be forced into a corner where it's well, shoot, we thought we had a lock-in on this contract because it was a 2-year, 100K deal. And then someone comes along and says, no, you can literally try me for free alongside your current stuff, and you try them for free and they're beating your current stuff, all of a sudden, it's just the new way to sell. So I think it's going to take a brave early stage startup to go all in on outcome-based pricing and have it work and have everyone else see that it's going to work for everyone else to kind of like jump ship and move the needle. I have a hunch that AI is going to get there by the end of the year, but I don't think AI is there today.
What is your hunch of who's going to flow first? Who's going to lead the way? Who's going to burn the ships and move inland?
I guess the funny thing is, like, do you burn the ships because you're desperate or because you have the belief that it's like truly the way to go?
What do you think Intercom did? Was it desperate or they have true belief?
Desperate. I think it was desperate.
Nice. Okay. So who's desperate enough in the go-to-market space to burn the ships?
Yeah. All my competitors, because we're crushing them.
But who's first? Come on, name me some names. I gotta go make some cold calls here. So who am I calling first?
I think you should go with one of the cold contact databases who aren't doing as hot as ZoomInfo or Apollo. I think if you go after some of the cold contact databases, they're worried about going headless underneath Claude, because once you go headless, then it's just about a data comparison. Like ZoomInfo is offering what I think is like 100 free credits if you like access them through Claude and then you hit a paywall. So yeah, I would go for some of the cold contact companies that are not as far along as ZoomInfo or Apollo.
Any names?
Come on, man. You're putting me into a corner, man. You know I'm friends with a lot of these guys. I'm giving you the anti-name, right?
Okay.
So it's like not Apollo and ZoomInfo.
Okay, so not Apollo and ZoomInfo, like all the other ones. I got it.
Go to your OpenClaw and type in who are competitors to Apollo and ZoomInfo, that are a little bit smaller, and those are your answers. Awesome.
Appreciate you playing ball. Thanks again for coming to the Get Paid podcast. Thanks again for bantering with me. This is a special one because you and I come from the same industry. So the questions get a little deeper, a little bit more embarrassing, a little spicier too.
Thanks for having me on, Manny.
If you like the podcast, click like or subscribe. We are on the Apple Podcast platform. We're on the Spotify platform. We're on the YouTube platform. We are on all major platforms. We're always fresh. Every week it comes out. Let's get paid.